Hi, my name is Dr. Renee Thomas, and today I'll be presenting a talk which I gave at the American College of Preventive Medicine's 2019 conference, Prevention 2019, entitled What is Whole Food Plant-Based Nutrition and Why and or How Should I Prescribe It? For those who don't know, I am currently a family and preventive medicine resident at Loma Linda University Health in Blue Zone, Loma Linda, California. By the end of this session, the objectives I will cover are: you will understand what whole food plant-based nutrition is, what it can do for health, you will know the answers to the most commonly asked questions about it, you will be able to help patients and or clients get started with this way of life, and you will learn resources both for yourself and to give to them. So what is whole food plant-based nutrition, or the acronym I use throughout, WFPB? It refers to consuming an absolute abundance of fruits and vegetables, including root vegetables like potatoes, intact whole grains, legumes and beans, nuts, seeds, herbs, and spices. So what isn't a whole food plant-based diet? Whole food plant-based eliminates fast foods, fried foods, refined and processed foods, sugar-sweetened beverages, crisps, chips, and candy. It also excludes or minimizes animal products such as meat, fish, eggs, and dairy, and ideally is without the additions of salt, oil, sugar, artificial sweeteners, and alcohol. So let's play a game. Everyone stand up. Now, for those following the slides, if you think that the option fits in the category of whole food plant-based, I want you to put your hands up in the air. If not, hands on your hips. If you are right, keep standing, and the last person standing is the one to win. Ready? Okay. The first one we have is whole grain bread. So actually no, but it's not the worst option, and it's definitely good for those transitioning to a healthier lifestyle if you were used to eating, say, white bread. What about air-popped popcorn? This one actually is. Just don't add the salt, oil, or the caramel. Organic agave nectar? Nope, just another refined sugar that's well marketed. What about fresh cold-pressed juice? No, this one removes the fiber and concentrates the sugars, but it can still be a healthy choice for a lot of people. What about organic, extra virgin, cold-pressed olive oil? Nope, this one is a refined isolated nutrient, basically the white sugar of the fat world. Fresh dates? Actually, yes, just another fresh fruit. What about fat-free Greek yogurt? No, this one is just a refined dairy product. What about 100-calorie snack packs of natural almonds? This one's a yes. Packaging isn't always evil. It's what's inside the package that actually counts. What about granola bars? Unfortunately, they're a fake healthy food, many of them containing 5 different types of refined sugars, oil, and salt coating the good old oatmeal. What about some of these new meat alternatives? Fake burgers, fake chicken nuggets. Generally, these aren't considered a whole food. They're made with refined protein extracts, oils, sugars, salts, and a lot of flavor enhancers. Better off using things like lentils, beans, or mushrooms. What about protein shakes? Again, these are just a refined food made with refined protein isolates and concentrates, often with added oils, artificial flavors, thickeners, salts, artificial sweeteners, and often a lot more ingredients, many of which you usually can't pronounce. Finally, our last food of the day, the humble baked potato. And yes, this one is a whole food. Not all white things are processed foods. So, moving forward, should we care what our patients or what our clients eat if they want to get healthier? So it has been published in JAMA that after evaluating Americans from the year 1990 until 2016, the number one cause of death in America is the American diet. But it's in my genes, people say. There is actually a significantly smaller influence on disease from genetics than most people believe, or most people want to believe. So, what are Americans actually eating? Does this picture look familiar? Does anyone want to guess what the top 10 sources of calories are in the typical American diet? Well, I can tell you from the USDA 2010, here we have, in no particular order, the top 10. Grain-based desserts, including cakes, cookies, donuts, pies, crisps, cobblers, and granola bars. Next, we have soda, energy drinks, and sports drinks. Then we have processed, refined, yeasted white breads. Then we have chicken and chicken mixed dishes. We have pizza. Next, we have alcoholic beverages. And the final ones, we have pasta and pasta dishes, usually full of cheese and cream. Mexican mixed dishes. We have beef and beef mixed dishes. And then we have dairy-based desserts, the number one being ice cream. So, on this list, who saw fruits, vegetables, whole grains, legumes? Not a lot, unfortunately. This is another representation taken from USDA's 2009 data, and even though we're in 2019, unfortunately the evidence suggests that it really has not improved much since then, and this is still a fairly accurate representation. You can see here about 25% of food intake is from animal products, the primary source of saturated fat in the diet. 63% of this is from processed foods, and about 12% is from plant-based foods, which does include fruits, vegetables, whole grains, nuts, and seeds. But the caveat is things such as ketchup and French fries are categorized as vegetables, so this number of actual fruits and vegetables is likely even lower. So, what can whole food plant-based nutrition do? Whilst this question itself could definitely fill a full-day seminar, or at least to me, let's go over some of the evidence with regards to plant foods and disease. So I've intentionally tried to make these simple so that they can be readily shared, easily understood. You can tell with patients, clients. I mean, how many of your patients or clients are really going to sit down with papers and papers of scientific literature and know how to interpret it or understand it? There's only a few of us that actually find that fun. So I will go into more detail later about the whole main topic of this talk, which is what we call nutritional prescriptions. But take note that many of the next slides are examples of what can be included in these that I will talk about. So let's start with this one, the Adventist Health Study 2. A major study on health and nutrition highlights a stepwise increase in all-cause mortality or all causes of death with increased intakes of meat, eggs, and dairy products. One reason for this is fiber intakes, fiber found only in plant-based foods. Just 10 extra grams per day of fiber decreases all-cause mortality by 10%. Another reason is the reduction in saturated fats, as their main sources in the diet are from animal products. Replacing 5% of saturated fats with fats from plant foods instead decreases all-cause mortality risk by 27%. Another large meta-analysis, this one of 7 studies, which does include the Adventist studies, found an 18% lower cancer incidence in vegetarians. So it did make headlines, and many people are aware of the new classification of processed meat as a Class 1 carcinogen by the World Health Organization, and this was based on numerous studies such as this one, where it was found that every 30 grams of processed meat, that's just a spoonful, and that will increase risk of colorectal cancer by 9%. Every 120 grams of red meat, even unprocessed red meat, increases the risk by 28%. Whilst vegetarians tend to fare better health-wise than those eating meat products, those who further eliminate dairy, going predominantly or completely plant-based or vegan, often have even better health outcomes, and this can be due to relationships such as this one that I will illustrate, where we can see that those consuming dairy products had a 10% increased risk of prostate cancer. The Adventist Health Study 1 and the Adventist Health Study 2 also correlate plant-based diets with lower incidence of cancers, including ovarian cancer, colon cancer, prostate cancer, lung and bladder cancers. So next disease, diabetes, another common disease that has been shown to be reduced in prevalence by consuming more plants. Again, this is data from the Adventist Health Studies, which are particularly relevant and a huge reason why I wanted to come and work in Loma Linda, because they compare health-conscious, low-meat consuming omnivores with those following vegetarian or vegan diets. Whilst both groups actually have very similar levels of physical activity, don't smoke, don't consume alcohol, and this really makes a great control of normally common confounding factors in nutritional studies. Another reason why completely plant-based nutritional patterns fare better than vegetarian diets for diabetes is the association with egg consumption. Here we can see it doubles one risk of type 2 diabetes mellitus with fairly modest intakes that would be consistent with how a lot of people consume eggs. This here is a great example of what I was referring to for nutritional prescriptions. Just 10 grams of flax seeds per day can reduce hemoglobin A1C, one of the major markers of blood sugar control in diabetes, by 15% in just 1 month. So moving on to heart disease, the #1 killer of adults in the United States of America. If you aren't familiar with the research by Dr. Dean Ornish, you need to be. He studied a randomized controlled trial of low-fat, whole foods diet and lifestyle intervention with, at least to my knowledge, this is the only documented randomized controlled trial demonstrating reversal of coronary artery disease. Dr. Caldwell Esselstyn is another cardiologist with similar research and his results showing similar results. Again, here documenting improvements in coronary artery stenosis using a low-fat plant-based nutritional plan. In his study, those who stayed on the nutritional intervention had just a 0.6 recurrence rate in cardiovascular disease events versus 62% in those that discontinued the intervention. Another example here for nutritional prescriptions, just 7 grams of fiber per day, that's just 1 cup of broccoli. This can reduce your risk of stroke by 7%. Another example here, every serve or just 28 grams, so a cup or a slice of bread of whole grains, can reduce cardiovascular mortality by 9%. Another example, that's just a quarter of a cup of oats. High blood pressure is extremely responsive to a plant-based nutritional pattern. An example here shown in the EPIC Oxford study on diet. This shows half the prevalence of hypertension compared to those eating more omnivorous diets. One of the main reasons for this is that dietary fiber, which is found only in plant foods, has an independent inverse association with hypertension, meaning more fiber, lower blood pressure. Yet another example for nutritional prescriptions comes up with this, and here you can see just 10 grams of flax seeds daily can reduce cholesterol levels by 14% in 1 month, and this also improves your HDL to LDL, or good to bad, cholesterol ratio. And finally, let's look at the evidence for obesity, the epidemic of the United States of America. Let's go back to the Adventist Health Studies. This shows here that the only group with a normal body mass index of less than 25 were the plant-based or vegan eaters. So if you aren't familiar with the plant-based broad study, make sure if you were at the conference that you attended Dr. Luke Wilson's talk. And also, whether you are or not, make sure you read this study. This study is believed to show the greatest weight loss ever published compared to any other randomized controlled trial that did not limit food intake or mandate exercise. So why does a whole food plant-based diet help in weight loss? As you can see here, you can eat less calories but consume significantly more food volume. The hardest thing with dieting is feeling hungry, right? Now you literally do not have to, and you can tell your patients and clients that neither do they. As you can see here, the whole food plant foods have the least calories per volume. Here you can see a 400-time difference between vegetables and oil. That means that for the same number of calories, you can eat 400 times the amount of vegetables than you could of some deep-fried, highly oily, highly greasy food. This visual here is a great demonstration how the volume can really vary widely on caloric density looking at a day's worth of eating. Which do you think you'd be fuller on? Left or right? Raise your hand. I know which one I would be fuller on. And to finish up, this is not an extensive list, but it does illustrate many of the other conditions with research suggesting the power of increasing intakes of plant foods in preventing, controlling, or even reversing disease states. So, how to use food as medicine? Where do we start? It is important, in my opinion, to start with this, and I have been mindful to keep the amount of text on the slides to a minimum, but this statement really is important. It has been frequently accepted and published that plant-based diets are, at a minimum, nutritionally adequate for all stages of life, including pregnancy, athletes, the elderly, and children, and may, at best, may be more healthful than a traditional omnivorous dietary pattern. But of course, there are always going to be questions, usually starting with something like, but where do I get my... One study from 2011 looked at a day in the life of 13,000 people all across the United States of America. They compared the nutrient intake of those who ate meat to those who didn't, and they found that calorie for calorie, those eating meat-free diets or plant-based diets get greater intakes of nearly every single nutrient that they studied. Those limiting animal products in their nutritional pattern consumed more fiber, more vitamins and minerals, and less sodium, saturated fat, and cholesterol. Let's ask the question on everyone's lips. But what about protein? Whilst all plant foods contain protein, and complete protein at that, the easiest source to tell patients to eat is between 1/2 to 1.5 cups of legumes per day. Done. Despite popular belief, most people are actually eating far too much protein, increasing the risk, as shown here, of increased body weight and overall all-cause mortality or death. But despite that, people still continue to be concerned that they will not get enough eating plant-based, so I've illustrated some examples here. The average person needs approximately 0.8 to 1.2 grams of protein per kilogram per day. So let's play another game. If we take a simple example, as illustrated here, we've got breakfast, 1 glass of soy milk with a cup of oats. For lunch, we're going to have a cup of lentils and a cup of pasta made into a bolognese. And for dinner, mashed potato, corn, broccoli, and a handful of seeds. So how many grams of protein do you think this has? Come on, shout it out, even if you're at home. So the answer for this question, it is over 125 grams, easily meeting almost anyone's nutritional needs. The next one, what about calcium? And I know it's been drilled into almost everyone from a young age, but dairy foods are not an essential component of the human diet. You can get plenty of calcium without consuming anything. So, here is just a small example of some high calcium plant foods that can be easily incorporated into one's diet. Servings shown here each contain about 200 milligrams of calcium, meaning 5 to 6 per day meets the nutritional guidelines. So, let's play the game again. Here we have 1 cup of kale made into a salad with a cup of beans and my favorite, tahini dressing. Then we're going to make a stir fry, 1.5 cups of bok choy with 1/4 cup of almonds. For a snack, let's have 2 oranges, and then let's make a smoothie with a glass of fortified soy milk. So, how much calcium do you reckon is in here? Let's shout it out again. The answer to this one is approximately 1,200 milligrams, which is easily the recommended dietary intake. So, what about iron? Surprisingly to many people, there's actually little difference in the anemia status between those who eat animal products and those that do not in the United States of America, meaning those with iron deficiency, you cannot pick what they do or do not eat on average. The average requirement for iron is between 9 to 27 milligrams daily. So where can we get it? As you can see here, we compare animal products to plant products, and they really don't contain that much iron in the animal products, even though most people really think this is the go-to source for iron. So let's play the game one last time. Here we're going to have for breakfast, we're going to have a cup of oatmeal, we're going to put in 1/4 cup of raisins, and over the top 50 grams of cashews. Then we're going to have for lunch a baked potato with a cup of peas and a cup of spinach. And then for dinner, we're going to make a big soup, tomato, lentil, and kale. So who wants to guess the iron content in this? Shout it right out. The answer, over 30 milligrams of iron in this day of eating, which is more than needed even if you are pregnant, which are the people that have the highest recommended dietary daily intake. So, let's take a step back to what I was mentioning at the beginning. What is a nutritional prescription? So the basic concept for physicians or healthcare providers is you want to take examples of evidence-based foods that help to prevent, manage, or even reverse diseases, and then work with the patient or the client to incorporate these foods into their dietary intake in a way that makes them feel empowered to take charge of their health. So this example that I'm just quickly showing is a lot more detailed than what we would typically do with a patient or with a client, but this example is for when teaching physicians because they want to know all the evidence. So this is an example of one that I used at Loma Linda for hypertension in our culinary prescriptions, culinary medicine, food as medicine classes. So this basically shows the recommended treatment steps and all the evidence-based peer review reasons why. At a basic level, however, it is a whole food, plant-based nutritional pattern, minimizing sodium and adding flax seeds and hibiscus tea. The final steps, continuing on, are illustrated here, but this is more similar to what I use and what I recommend to use with patients and clients. Make it simple, make it easy. All of that text, which was like a 12-page document, is literally shown in 4 images. So another great example of a nutritional prescription actually comes from the World Cancer Research CUP or Continuous Update Project. And again, it's simple instructions or a dietary prescription. Here shown to be eat more fruits and vegetables, eat more whole grains, and eat more legumes. Essentially, what we've been talking about, a whole food, plant-based nutritional eating pattern. So how does this actually look in clinical practice? While talking about this could also become a lecture in itself, it is extremely important when discussing nutrition to be aware of where your patient or where your client is at, what their thoughts are, what their stage of change is, and to really provide suitable advice based upon that. It's easy to go gung-ho and be like, you should do this, that, and whatever. But what it means, it can be anything from a super broad question like, what do you think about adding some specific foods to work like medicine? Or, if they're all in, it could be a descriptive food prescription, much like you would write on a prescription pad. It could be SMART goals and often regular follow-up appointments, preferably at least monthly for lifestyle visits. So, what are SMART goals? SMART goals are a validated tool whereby goals are specific, they're measurable, they're attainable, they're relevant, and they're timely. So, for example, they might come up with one this week. I am going to eat 2 servings of vegetables 5 days per week. Goals should be easy, clear, and based on scientific evidence. So often the idea of changing one's food can be extremely overwhelming, and sometimes you do need to tread a little bit carefully. So the idea of starting with just one thing can be really, really effective and not overly overwhelming. So this is also usually a positive thing, such as adding more vegetables, rather than thinking about taking away a favorite item that may not be as nutritionally superior. So changing just one thing has actually been validated a fair few times in the scientific literature to make dramatic differences. For example, as shown here, adding less than 1 cup of legumes or beans per day with no other changes recommended can decrease cholesterol, waist circumference, blood pressure, and hemoglobin A1C in just 8 weeks. Another example is to recommend adding more whole grains. Again, not needing any other changes, just add it in. And again, this change alone resulted in weight loss and reductions in cholesterol in literally weeks. So, other common behavioral change strategies, one I like to use is called simple swaps. And here it could be such as, I'm going to swap drinking soda for drinking water instead. A really good example of talking with patients about nutrition can be found in Juliana Heather's Physician's Guide to Plant-Based Diets, which I strongly encourage any provider that wants to talk about this to read, and it was published in the Permanente Journal. So, now as we all know, science tells us that very little information is retained from pretty much any educational session, most likely even including this talk of mine. So it's always recommended that you send someone home with resources. And I did practice what I preach. If you came to listen to me at the American College of Preventive Medicine, you would have received a handout that day, as well. But I'm going to give a small list of many of the helpful resources that are out there that you could think about giving a handout to for your patients or your clients, So some of the websites that I recommend are shown here. To highlight, nutritionfacts.org, they have really great videos that a lot of patients can understand easily. PCRM has a 21-day free menu and meal planning program, which recurs every month. And many of these resources, which is a huge benefit for me, are also available in Spanish and some of them in other languages. I have seen some Asian languages as well. So many great books filling up my bookshelf, but here's a few of my favorites. And for the more modern generation, there's also some really good phone apps. Here's just a few of my favorites. And for those that don't even want to read these days, there are plenty of great videos on YouTube and many a good documentary. So, I'll leave this in summary. We are well beyond the lifestyle intervention, if it even happens, being stated as simply eat less or eat better and move more. Diet and lifestyle changes are valid treatment options, not something that is alternative or having, say, just little minor effects in comparison to current standard of care. The reality is, many a time it's as effective or even more effective than standard care, either alone or as an adjuvant therapy. And the power of dietary and lifestyle changes cannot be underrated or ignored any longer. Professionals need evidence-based literature, peer-reviewed literature, and patients need specific instructions and achievable goals to improve their health. It isn't just food anymore. This is the future of medicine.